I said a happy Valentine's Day. Every day the 14th. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. So special guest, Tim Davis. This is the podcast where all three of us went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater. And now we're going to talk about it in the parking structure right next to the theater. In Matt, Todd, and the Pilot, we're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie? Should you not see this movie? Can you bring your family? Should you bring a date? Should you go by yourself? Do you need to pay attention? Can you slack off? Can you not crap?
Oh, maybe.
Should you leave if you have to crap? I mean, these are all tough questions. We'll try to answer some of them or none of them or a little bit here and there. You know, we try our best. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy, and I'm a big believer that you should leave if you have to crap in the theater.
I'm the opposite.
Oh.
I paid that money. I'm not going to miss that movie.
There we go. That's why
be
we have...
holding it until it's starting to slip out. That's the only time that's excusable. If you're actually up against an accident, but then you got to decide what movie are you in? Are you that interested in it? Do you not want to miss it?
Right.
I'd respect it if someone's like, I pooped a little because I didn't want to miss the movie. I'd be like, I get it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Little of the behind the scenes. Todd's true.
Yeah, we're all human. We're all human, and everyone poops, and sometimes you got to hold it because something's going on, like a movie.
Very true. Right. And something did happen tonight, like a movie, and we saw it, and it's called Hard Eyes, a movie I've been looking forward to ever since I saw the first trailer for it.
Yeah, not to be confused with Heart Ice, which is what the guy thought I was saying when I was buying my ticket.
Your soda.
I was like, what
Hard
movie
Ice.
out right now is Heart Ice? What movie? Hard Eyes. Hard Ice? Hard Eyes.
Hard Eyes.
What movie is that? I'm like, how are we so far apart here?
Yeah. Well, anyway, we saw this movie. We're going to talk all about it and tell our true feelings and gut reactions. And first, we'll start with Tim. Tell us who we know in this movie, if anyone.
I will say there are some recognizable names in this, but I don't know if any of them are quite household names. Maybe the biggest name would be Jordana Brewster. She's one of the cops on the case in this one. She is, of course, in the Fast and the Furious franchise. She's Paul Walker's character's wife in that.
Okay, come on.
Dom's
Vin Diesel's sister.
Dom's
sister.
Yes. And then the other cop in this, Devon Sawa, who famous for the first Final Destination movie back in the 90s and Idle Hands.
Hands, yeah.
Yeah, and he was on the Nikita TV show for a long time. Those are I guess you could say he was a genre veteran as far as this goes.
He's got the most ridiculous death in a movie to me when he couldn't come. They didn't bring him back for Final Destination 2, and what you find out happened to his character, a brick fell on him while he was in the woods.
Yeah,
it's like a little article that you see
walking along
when they discuss why this character's not in the movie anymore. It's like random brick kills man in woods. Okay.
Our leads in this are, people who've been around, but I wouldn't say household names. Olivia Holt is our lead actress. She's mostly been a Disney Channel actress growing up, and then she MCU adjacent playing Dagger on a few TV shows, and I think they also voiced her in some cartoons. And Mason Gooding, who's he's the son of Cuba Gooding Jr. Is the lead, and he was in the new Scream franchise, the last two.
That's right. I was like, where is that guy from?
He's been in a couple other things, but I'd say that's the most recognizable, and of course that makes him another genre veteran. And that's it.
Okay, so what's Hard Eyes all about? Well, it's about the Hard Eyes Killer. If you don't know about the Hard Eyes Killer, because why would you? Mm-hmm. It was just invented for this movie. Yeah. Hard Eyes Killer is a serial killer who strikes on Valentine's Day / weekend. Well, I think it's actually Valentine's Day.
It's
24 hours.
Goes on a straight killing spree.
In this movie, in 2 previous years, the Hard Eyes Killer has gone on sprees in Boston and New York.
I think it was Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
Yes.
And in this movie, it's set in Seattle, and the Hard Eyes Killer shows up again. Hard Eyes Killer seems to be mad at couples on Valentine's Day, of which there are typically a lot of, so there's a lot of options for the Hard Eyes Killer to kill. And plenty of killing is done in crazy and zany ways. In the meantime, we have our two main characters, Jay and what is Olivia Holt's character's name?
A few times.
I can't remember.
Our lead of the movie, whose name
Executive
we've forgotten.
But I'm looking up real quick.
Yeah. So these two are work colleagues.
Allie.
Allie, there you go. Allie and Jay. So Allie and Jay are work colleagues who have just met, and there's a little chemistry between them. Will they, won't they?
Awkward, meet cute, all that stuff.
Yes. Thank you for using meet cute,
Yes, it
Tim
was.
Davis. Love it. Anyway, so there's some back and forth between them throughout the movie as they are both stalked by and stalk the Hard Eyes Killer, and who will come out on top? Will love prevail? All these questions I'll leave to you to find out by watching the movie yourself if you want to after you hear us talk about it. Todd, what does your heart say about Heart Eyes?
I'll have to preface everything by saying the things that I disliked about this movie, I can't go into detail about a whole lot because it's all tied up in twisty turns plot, and we are spoiler free here.
Yes.
So I'll try to speak in some generalities. Well, tiptoeing through subjects. So I would say I did not dislike this movie, but like you, Matt, and I think it was just because of you I was excited for this movie because I like it when movies like hit what you're looking for some reason. I would just say I was more a little disappointed. I think it's got an okay story and almost like a strong foundation of a movie, and I just think some of it got lost along the way. I think they couldn't decide whether or not this was a serious movie or we're going to lean into the obscurity of this movie. Like, I think it had a hard time balancing that at times. It did have some nice, the stuff that you want from a movie like this. It had some gore kills. Some of it were pretty imaginative. Some of them were a little lazy to me. But, as long as they're carried off in a nice slasher way, you feel fulfilled in that area. So I would say if you like slasher movies, this is by far not the worst I've ever seen. Like, it's not going to break the genre. And it borrows incredibly heavy from other movies in the genre. Like, it's almost like it liked to borrow a little bit here and there from many different things. And, that can be good. I just don't think it capitalized on what it was like. If you're going to borrow something from the movie, you want to top the original to so that your movie stands the test of time. You're almost like replacing the original, and you're like, I took that idea and I topped it by making it more creative or doing something. I don't think this movie did that. Like, I think that would have made it an upper echelon slasher movie to me, is if you borrow these elements from other movies and then you improve upon them and you make them better, or you something more smarter, and that just didn't happen. It's almost like they borrowed heavily elements from other movies, and then that made them more lazy in the storytelling. So it allowed them to slack off a little bit, in my opinion. Some of the writing in this movie was good. You get some laughs. There are some, like, ridiculous things, like hiding out from the killer in a van while other people are, like, having sex and having serious conversations over the sounds of, like, people having sex. And it's like, well, this is weird, but this was a nice, like, I thought it went on for a little bit too long, but this was a nice, like, you've been ramped up for a while, you need to come down a little bit so we can ramp you up again. And so it was like, okay, well, this is funny and obscure, and those scenes I thought hit well, but I do think they could have been better. Like, I like some of the ideas, I just don't know if the execution was as tight as it needs to be to make a super memorable thriller. I mean, I could easily see more movies in this, like, kind of story, and continue Hard Eyes if they wanted to. But I would just say, like, I was excited for this movie. I expected good things, and I wasn't completely let down, but it was enough that I'm walking out going, like, I wish this was better. Not horrible. I think if you're looking, obviously, if like you're in a relationship where slasher movies are your thing, this is coming around Valentine's Day. Why not like make it a date? But on the merits of its own, I'm not sure if I could say, hey, everyone should see this movie. I don't think it delivers strong enough for that kind of praise. But if you're interested in it, go for it. If you're a slasher movie person, you might as well. But that's probably the extent that I would say people should go out of their way to see this movie. This is a perfect streaming movie. Like I don't think the need is there to see it in theater unless you wanted to make a date out of it and that was you guys' thing. But I think this is easily you can wait to watch this some Friday night at 10 o'clock when you're just like, let me throw this on. But that's how I would recommend it. So, Matt.
Me?
Sorry, Tim?
No, you can go to Matt.
Tim?
Nope.
Matt's genre. I will defer.
No, Tim, go for it.
Oh, okay. All right. This is not my genre. However, I don't mind sitting down and watching, either fun ones or maybe some new clever takes on this, as the last few years have not been kind to this genre, I would say. This one really is all over the place. At times it's completely leaning, I think you said it really well, Todd, leaning into the absurdity of what these kind of movies are and how crazy they can get. And at times it would lean into it, almost mock it, but also live up to it. And I'm like, okay, so we're going a little meta here and we're trying to be like, commenting on the genre a la Scream. It was the first one to really do that. But then it's also actually really trying hard on the romantic comedy stuff too. And like trying to make their relationship like I said, they have the meet cute at the beginning, and then they have, of course, their lives are intertwined more than they realize, and it's the old, how they talk to each other in the midst of this crazy day. And I'm like, there's a decent romantic comedy nestled into this.
Yeah, it's like a rom-com slasher.
And it's like, is this they're trying to like comment on both and the ridiculousness of both? Because there's a lot of writing with other movies mentioned, and it's like they're trying to be like, look at all these other movies that do this, but then we're adding a killer to it. And it just, the tone was all over the place. I thought the acting was all over the place. Some actors were like fully aware of the movie they were in and were willing to ham it up and just go against type or just be silly. Whereas I thought the two leads, for the most part, tried to take it seriously like a romantic couple acting in a horror movie. Although they had also some scenes where they weren't. And it's just, so there are times where I'm chuckling, there are other times I'm like, huh. And so it leaves me in a weird middle spot, just like the movie, where I'm not sure, did I enjoy it? Maybe? Can I recommend it? I don't know. I think Todd's on the ball with, this is, for people who love this genre, it's another entry that's kind of fun and doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also does. So it's, again, I can't put my finger quite on it. Like the soundtrack is very James Gunnish and loose, trying to be cutesy with romantic songs during, after really tense, bloody scenes. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm still kind of figuring out my gut reaction and my rating here. So I'll defer to our slasher king here, Matt.
Slasher King.
I like that. That's my title in your mind, Tim. That's great. Slasher King.
Yes.
Well, Slasher King Matt Malloy says this is not really a slasher movie.
Okay.
This is a slasher movie. If a slasher movie and a rom-com got together and had a baby, this movie is that. You both have touched on it. This has a rom-com buried inside of a slasher movie. Yeah. And I'm not sure that's a great mix.
And I can see why someone would pitch that and it's like, okay, that sounds clever and fun.
Right. And I think that there's plenty of clever things that happen in this movie. I think there's plenty of zany things, fun things. If you like slashers, there's plenty of slasher elements in this, including some fun kills. One especially using a tire iron that was just chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Up your alley, right there.
Yes.
Alley.
So I did like this movie. I thought it had a hard time deciding what it wanted to be, and maybe it decided what it wanted to be, and it wanted to be a rom-com slasher.
Right.
And if so,
They did
It
that.
succeeded. I'm not sure if that was a good thing to aspire to or not. But, that's what they did. And there were plenty of rom-com funny moments. There were plenty of slasher, zany,
Over the top.
slasher style things in it also. And I liked both of them. I don't think it made for a very cohesive story, so you aren't going to win points with that. But the design and, let's say, the acting out of his mission of the Hard Eyes Killer, I thought was very nice. I really liked his heart eyes mask that he used, including at times where the heart eyes lit up.
Like night vision.
Yeah.
And that was fun, and he was a very efficient and savvy killer, which I always like in a slasher movie. So, what I'll tell you is, if you are looking for rom-com with hints of slasherdom, maybe this is the movie for you. I don't know. I don't know who's looking for that. I don't know what audience they're trying to hit. But I will say I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's not a great movie, but it left me feeling good. I chuckled plenty, and there were plenty of elements that I really loved in this movie. So, not going to get a bad rating from me, but
Sure. Yeah, you know what this makes me remember or think of, or like similar feelings when we walked out of the movie was the Lisa Frankenstein movie, where I was like,
Frankenstein,
I was like, what are you going for here?
Right.
Like,
Right.
What was the, like, where were we trying to land this plane? Because I'm really confused. On,
Yeah.
That's kind of how
That's
I
a good
feel.
comparison.
But
That's a good comparison.
you know, I digress. So, I mean, how many tire irons are you going to give this movie? Tire iron comes into play with your favorite kill that you just mentioned.
Yes.
It was definitely a very satisfying one.
yeah.
I was like, you know, and that was like, I would say that was the perfect kind of capsule of the movie. It's like you have a 10-minute scene of like kind of lovey-dovey like talking and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then you are immediately thrust into this like kind of imaginative kill and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you are all over the place with your emotions. And it's like the movie
And I
doesn't
think,
give you a
again,
chance to
on
switch
purpose.
between the two.
I think on purpose.
And I
Like,
think they were thought to themselves that jarring would be
Yeah.
something special, and the jarring was annoying to me. Like,
I
but
can see some people loving that though.
yeah, I mean, I think some people will see this movie and just be like, and love it for just the absurdity that it is, and be like, okay, rom-com slasher, like rom-com horror, great, you know, I like it, I love it, maybe. And who knows? I mean, obviously, I think if this does enough money, they will make more of these movies. And sometimes where the movie goes creates the better story.
That's
in a
fair.
sense of like talking about Friday the 13th 1 versus Friday the 13th 2, where it's
Different
like
movies, yeah.
such different movies because there's different killers, and that's like the introduction of like the other elements came after the original. So there's plenty of things they can do here, I think. It's a solid enough base, I would say, that they could certainly go on from here and get imaginative and crazy. But 0 being the worst, 5 being the best, you know, that's 5 tires you can change at the same time, and that's just efficient. So, Matt?
So true. So I think in comparison to the movie Lisa Frankenstein, I think I liked this movie plenty better than that.
This one was like, you can see rom-com slasher horror, whereas Lisa Frankenstein was so all over the place. You're like,
It really was.
where are we going here? Like, what movie did I just watch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where I'm going to end up on the tire iron scale is related to my love of elements of this movie, and also something I didn't mention, which I loved that we've touched on before, is absurdity.
Right.
There's plenty of absurdity in this,
Yes, there
and
is.
so that bumps up my score. So I'm going to give this a fairly high rating of 3.42 tire irons out of 5. And I say you should see it. But
Tim?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, as I'm thinking about it, because we're all about gut reaction here, I think I enjoyed it more than I didn't. And I did smile at a few of like you said, there were some absurd lines and some really silly scenes that were like, okay, that's funny. And some of the kills, you're right, were rather clever, or at least really fit the moment that they happened. So I'm going to go just above average for me, because like, this isn't my genre, but I enjoyed it more, which I think gives it points. So I'm going to say a 2.6.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I there are some good to this. I mean, I did chuckle at times, and I did enjoy some of the more imaginative kills, for sure. I would say the biggest distractor for me at this point is that when everything comes out that needs to come out for, the movie to come out, I was like, well, this is a stupid reason. Like, was kind of like what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. That's where it really fell short to me. Like,
The big reveal.
if it was if it was a more better thought out big reveal, I think it could have helped land the plane with me.
Hard-eyed killer's motivation was not landing with you.
Not landing with me. I mean, I get what they were going for, and I get what it was, but I don't know. I wanted more out of that specifically. Like, I think if that whole, culmination of everything in the movie was a little bit better, this would be a much different rating for me. But I'm at I'm a little bit below a 2.5. I'm like a 2.4.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
I certainly don't regret seeing this, and I see the foundation in this. I'm like, strong foundation. I think we can build off of this. But I think it would have landed, like I said, if all that was better, or if it was all more ridiculous. Like, at times I'm just like, some of the best slashers and stuff like that we remember are because they tossed themselves into the ridiculousness of just trying to top every kill. And while there are imaginative ones there, it just didn't feel like that's what they were trying to do. Thinking about some of the classics where you start with a regular kill, but by the time you're near the end of the movie, we're killing people in wheelchairs in imaginative ways, and we're killing people who are doing handstands at times. Like, I'm like, those are the kills that stand the test of time to me. Both of those are obviously from the Friday the 13th movies, but
Right.
that kind of stuff stands the test of time. And I would say, in general, there's nothing in this movie yet. Maybe they can pull this franchise together and do something crazy. There's nothing that I think will stand the test of time of being memorable in whatever genre they were going for.
Fair enough. Okay. Any last thoughts? No. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we review the movie Heart Eyes. We gave it an average rating of 2.81. Tire irons out of 5 tire irons, which is slightly above average, mainly pulled up by my perhaps elevated score, but
Love of the genre.
it is what it is, and that's what you get when you listen to our podcast. You get our opinions.
Yeah.
I will say, I didn't think of this till just now, but this is probably a bigger distractor for me. Some of the surrounding areas were very incoherent in this movie, of like, oh, we're right next to my apartment running, and now we're in this abandoned amusement park kind of thing. And I was like, well, that's weird. But the most atrocious one to me was when she went to the airport. I was like, have you guys seen an airport? Do you know what an airport looks like?
Yeah, that
because
definitely was that
this
one.
is not an airport.
Right.
That's fine.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this podcast. Please subscribe, download, and keep on listening. And we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.